Hello, good morning. Happy Thursday. We've made it here. All right. If you're here, go ahead and say hi. Tell me how you're doing in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in all the places. And I'd love to hear how you're doing on this beautiful Thursday morning. All right. Can you believe it is already the last day in April? Tomorrow it's going to be May. Crazy. Morning, Jacqueline. All right, there we go. Jacqueline, I'm doing awesome this morning. Got a little bit of a slow start today, but I've already done some yoga this morning. Got breakfast, got my coffee. Morning, Gunica. Morning, Marissa. Hey, Cindy. So yeah, it's all good so far. How's everyone else doing? I saw a bunch of people just pop in. I started a new book, and that's always fun. It's one I'm sure a lot of you have read. Hey, Dad. Have read or certainly have heard of. It's The Maze Runner, but I have never read it. People have been recommending it to me for years, and I just have not done it. So there you go. Morning, Alicia. Yeah, Marissa, every day when I think like, I'm sort of tired, I can't decide if it's because like I'm tired or if it's just because it's like so soon after I've woken up. Who knows? Hard to tell. Got to give that one time. Ooh, okay. Morning, Mrs. Garcia. So yeah, I don't really have anything like big or exciting today. What do you guys have going on? I have like extra meetings to go to today. That's sort of what's on my mind. But that's not exciting or fun. I did, again, I was on YouTube looking at some of the AP videos that they're putting out. Oh, Gunica, your room was painted yesterday. That's awesome. What color? And because they're putting out these like daily videos to review the content for the various AP courses. And so I follow the just general AP advanced placement channel. So I see updates for like all these videos that come in. The one that I saw this morning, US history, is going to have Lin-Manuel Miranda. What? That seems weird. Oh, Gunica, it's pink. Awesome. Morning, Mom. I'm like, so you write one musical about a U.S. historical figure, and I guess you get to show up on the U.S. History AP Review channel. Who knew? Again, I'm trying to figure out who are we gonna get here for AP Lit, because now I feel like we're just being shown up. right? US history has cool ones. Macroeconomics has cool ones. Something about social studies. They're bringing in all the cool people. I don't get it. I need an explanation. If anything, I feel like Lin-Manuel Miranda should have been the AP Lit because he is the writer of a generation. Whatever. Um, cool. So I think I'll just jump into our poem for today. I'm sort of in an Emily Dickinson mood, and I'm trying to decide which poem I want to read. I don't know if anyone has a request. I think I'm just gonna go with my favorite because I'm the one opening the poems, I guess. Yeah. So we're gonna do Because I Could Not Stop for Death, which is Emily Dickinson. And I think I'm not sure, sophomores, if we've read any Emily Dickinson this year. But I think there's some that you would have read freshman year. And I know that we've done some in AP Lit. Yes, Emily Dickinson is amazing. Oh, yes. Hope is the thing with feathers. That's a good one too. Okay, I'm gonna do this one. Because I could not stop for death. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. We slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I had put away my labor and my leisure too for his civility. We passed the school where children strove at recess in the ring. We passed the fields of grazing grain. We passed the setting sun. Or rather, he passed us. The dews drew quivering and chill, for only gossamer my gown, my tippet only tulle. We paused for a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the cornice in the ground. Since then, 'tis centuries, and yet feels shorter than the day. I first surmised the horses' heads were toward eternity. Oh, oh, love it. Um, I find that one so interesting. The meter and the shifts and all of the sort of more poetry things. But yeah, I love this imagining the personification of death as like a character, and they can just like live civilly together is very interesting to me. Oh, one of my grandma Helen's favorite poets. Checks out. Emily Dickinson is amazing. So I was just looking at our book for today, looking at the first page, and I had forgotten this. There's some French on the first page, so Jacqueline, you'll be able to get translate for us. Oh, you read one of her poems on the map test? That's awesome. I guess there might be something good about the map test. Keep you entertained as you're testing. It's awesome. Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna do our book talk today, which is really less of a novel and more of a novella. So if you haven't heard that term before, a novella is just like a short novel. Usually 150 pages or less, but more than like a short story. So The Awakening by Kate Chopin is what we're going to talk about today. It's super famous. It's very well known. For our seniors in the chat, we've been watching the AP review videos. and they talk about the awakening quite a bit. Um, it's great. It is a classic for a reason. You might know Kate Chopin from her short stories. We've read some of them. Seniors, we read Story of an Hour, which is a pretty famous one. And there are lots of other really good ones. So, for what it's worth. Okay, so I'm just going to read the synopsis because I think it'll do a better job of explaining than I will. So, The Awakening is the story of Edna Pontellier, an attractive young wife and the mother of two sons living in the Creole South in the late 19th century. Edna feels herself trapped in a marriage where she is unable to express her passionate sensuality and as a result explores an awakening through an affair with a younger man during one summer while her husband is away. Liberated by this experience, she sends her children away and is determined to live a more independent and self-determined life. So there you go. It is just revolutionary, right? When you think about when this was written and what sort of the values that it puts forth, it is really a revolutionary book, and the quality of it is just so high, right? The literary quality of it is great. So I'll read the first page-ish. Yeah, we'll read the first page-ish. So this is The Awakening. A green and yellow parrot, which hung in a cage outside the door, kept repeating over and over. And this, Jacqueline, you can translate, but don't judge me on my pronunciation. Allez vous en, sapristi. That's all right. He could speak a little Spanish, and also a language which nobody understood, unless it was the mockingbird that hung on the other side of the door, whistling his fluty notes out upon the breeze with maddening persistence. Mr. Pontellier, unable to read his newspaper with any degree of comfort, arose with an expression and an exclamation of disgust. He walked down the gallery and across the narrow bridges which connected the Lebrun cottages with one another. He had been seated before the door of the main house. The parrot and the mockingbird were the property of Madame Lebrun, and they had the right to make all the noise they wished. Mr. Pontellier had the privilege of quitting their society when they ceased to be entertaining. He stopped before the door of his own cottage, which was the fourth one from the main building, and next to last. Seating himself in a wicker rocker, which was there, he once more applied himself to the task of reading the newspaper. The day was Sunday. The paper was a day old. The Sunday papers had not yet reached Grand Isle. He was already acquainted with the market reports, and he glanced restlessly over the editorials and bits of news which he had not had time to read before quitting New Orleans the day before. Mr. Pontellier wore eyeglasses. He was a man of 40, of medium height and rather slender build. He stooped a little. His hair was brown and straight, parted on one side. His beard was neatly and closely trimmed. Once in a while he withdrew his glance from the newspaper and looked about him. There was more noise than ever over at the house. The main building was called the house, to distinguish it from the cottages. The chattering and whistling birds were still at it. Two young girls, the Farival twins, were playing a duet from Zampa on the piano. Madame Lebrun was bustling in and out, giving orders in a high key to the yard boy whenever she got inside the house, and directions in an equally high voice to a dining room servant whenever she got outside. She was a fresh, pretty woman, clad in white with elbow sleeves. Her starched skirts crinkled as she came and went. So I'm going to stop there. One of the things that I find so interesting, and I haven't read this book in years, but in AP literature, we've been talking about plot structure and why certain things are placed in certain order. and rereading it just now, it is so interesting to me that it starts with um, this really full and detailed description of the husband, Mr. Pontellier, um, when the book is so much about Edna um, and her perspective. And at least in those first couple of pages that I read, she's not mentioned at all, which I think adds to um, as you move forward the literary merit, right? How we can understand and gain something really powerful um, from from even just the first few pages, the first few lines. So the version that I have is an ebook from Hoopla. So it's this. It's actually The Awakening and some of her short stories. Oh, thank you, Jacqueline, for the translation. Go away and good heavens was what the parrot was saying, which also really good. So it has The Awakening, but it also has like a dozen and a half um, of the short stories that Kate Chopin is really well known for. So it has some of my favorites. It has Desiree's Baby. That one's great. It has Story of an Hour, which is one that we read in class. Um, so yeah, it's an awesome way to read them. And then even with that, it's at least on this edition, it's saying that it's only 174 pages to get The Awakening and all those short stories. So yeah, it's a great option if you're looking for something interesting, even for being like an older book. Um, it's readable. It's not like super confusing or hard. Some of the description is a little more than I think some of you will be used to, but for the most part, it's an understandable read, which is nice for an old book. So yeah, there we go. Cool. What else do we got for me today? Questions, comments, concern, 42. I don't know. You tell me. We got some exciting stuff going on in class today. In AP, we're working on thesis statements. In honors, we're getting ready to finish up our big synthesis essay, which is due tomorrow, which is exciting. I've been reading bits and pieces of people's essays as they're sending me stuff for feedback, and I'm excited to see how they all turn out. I think that'll be fun. Very cute. Cool. Anything else for this beautiful Thursday? All right. Then I think we will just head out for today. Get a earlier start on our Thursday. Hopefully, get going on what we need to do today. Sort of my new feeling about it all is the sooner I start it, the sooner I will be done with it. So I'm going to get off to work. Hopefully, you all will too. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Always remember who you are, what you represent, and to share your Mustang pride. Bye, guys.